Welcome to the lunchtime broadcast, where we highlight the news making waves ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports, and economic news. Here are the headlines. President Nangolo Mbumba to deliver the State of the Nation address this afternoon. NAMRA's head of domestic taxes addresses key industries' contribution tax revenue. Deadline for SIM registrations remain the 31st of March, according to CRAN. I am Glenora Shipura, and this is NMH at 1. In our midday news update, Communications Regulatory Authority of Namibia CEO Emilia Ngihikwembwa has announced that the deadline for SIM registration remains the 31st of March 2024. According to Ngihikwembwa, Namibia has 2,387,230 active SIM users across all networks, and 70.6% of these SIM cards have been successfully registered. MTC's registrations increased from 70% in January to 76%. Telecom, however, went from a 79% registration in January to a 54% in February. Unregistered SIM cards will face suspension for a 3-month period starting in April 2024. During this period, customers attempting to use any network will encounter a service unavailability and will receive a warning message, she said. Moving on, in another update, President Nangolo Mbumba will deliver the State of the Nation address this afternoon. The Parliament, in a statement on their Facebook page, informed that the State of the Nation address will be an opportunity for the head of state to address Parliament on the state of the nation and on future policies of the government and report on the policies of the previous year. The head of state is also expected to avail himself to respond to questions. The State of Nation address is delivered during the committee stage of the debates on the annual appropriation bill in the National Assembly. Parliament also warned of the possibility of the Robert Mugabe Avenue and Love Street around Parliament Gardens being closed off to the public traffic between 1:30 p.m. and 5 p.m. And NTV will stream the event at 2:30 p.m. on DSTV channel 285 and GoTV channel 25 and all NMH social media platforms. After the break, we get into our visual news.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraika. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Getting into our visual news, the 13th Association of Municipal Electricity Undertakings of Southern Africa took place yesterday in Swakopmund. The association's president, Mato Muchidza, emphasized the importance of stakeholders' participation in the token identifier rollover process. Precious Ngitwanapo was there.
The AMU is encouraged by the work, as I said, done thus far, as the Minister has said, and we look forward to the regulator, of course guided by the policymaker, and all stakeholders towards the remaining rights become a reality. Because it's through them that you are able to go to extend that reach of ensuring that we are realizing universal access and access to electricity to the all part of our country, a citizen as such. We must continue, Electricity Control Board and NEMPower, to play your critical role ensure that this become a reality. I call on all of us to commit to ensure that we play our collective roles or collaborative roles between ourselves, business and government and utilities towards addressing the energy poverty in this country and in South Africa. We might be value sitting at 92% energy access in South Africa. But if I tell you that in the city that I come from, I've got in excess of over 500 informal settlements. Not people, informal settlements.
Namibia's population has grown by more than 100% since independence. These and more stories coming up in the newspaper review segment.
We are all seeking connection to each other, to the world, to the spaces we exist in.
Poor sportsmanship right now from the lads.
You might be physically ready, your body is ready, but mentally.
He has another chance, and it is a goal from Vindo.
Sy sê wie hy is aan neertrek en daai bal het my grond gevat. Ja, hy het grond gevat en is
But just enough next.
Running that mountain up. Okay, so we will be doing this for the mountain climber. More advanced, slightly advanced.
So is jou trolley reg? Want
I love that. I love that. So then
kickstart our countdown at number 5 with this one.
Op Netwerk TV se Klets Kompas gesels ons nuus van 'n Maandag tot Donderdag. Ons kyk ook na die weer en meer. Stories wat jou raak en stories wat saak maak.
They've made a mistake in denying me bail, and they've made several other mistakes in many other cases.
The channels that teach us something new or reflect our expression. So it goes beyond switching to the right station. It's about choosing the experience that can adorn the present, dressing it with our tastes as we expand our preferences, because what we are actually connecting to is boundless, limitless human energy. And this is the spirit of NTV.
Getting into our newspaper review, starting off with the Namibian Sun's front page. Namibia's population has grown by more than 100% since independence, while its urban population growth is set to outpace rural population growth in the ensuing years. This follows the release of preliminary census figures by Statistician General Alex Shimwafeni yesterday, which showed that the total population now stands at 3,022,401, which marks a 114.4% increase over a period of 32 years. Moving over to page 3, Mines and Energy Minister Tom Alwindo has denied accusations that he helped a friend obtain an exclusive prospective license for oil and gas. The claims by activists and Namibia Economic Freedom Fighters member Michael Amushelelo made the rounds on social media over the weekend. Alwindo's friend reportedly owns Titan Oil and Gas. In a statement yesterday, the minister said Landless People's Movement parliamentarian Henny Sabeb also asked him questions on the matter in Parliament. Over to the Republicans' front page. A hearing before the Medical and Dental Board on allegations of unprofessional behavior by a psychiatrist had to be postponed as his legal representative was not available on the set dates. Dr. Pieter van der Westhuizen, a psychiatrist from Swakopmund, had to attend the trial from the 15th to the 19th of April in Windhoek. However, van der Westhuizen's legal representative requested that it be postponed to the 10th to the 14th of June due to a previous obligation. The hearing, which is now scheduled for June, follows 6 years after the Health Professionals Council in Namibia already confirmed in April 2018 that several complaints of unprofessional behavior are being investigated against van der Westhuizen. Over to the Republicans, page 2. Convicted murderer Ernst Lichtenstrasser was yesterday cautioned to cooperate in processes that have caused a month-long delay in his trial. If the accused does not cooperate, this must be submitted in writing to the registrar, Judge Cressy Liebenberg said. This follows the testimony of the Namibian Correctional Services Dr. Jonah, who examined Lichtenstrasser to determine whether his nearly 2-week hunger strike meant he was not well enough to stand trial. Jonah said the fact that Lichtenstrasser does not take his medication and has not eaten since the 1st of March means he cannot be tried. He further testified that during his examination, Lichtenstrasser complained of dizziness and a headache, and that questions had to be repeated several times before he understood them. Moving over to the Allgemeine Zeitung's front page, over 3 million Namibians in the country since the last census in 2011. Namibia's population has grown from around 2.3 million by more than 909,324 to 3,022,401 inhabitants within the last 12 years. That is an average growth rate of just around 3%. On the Allgemeine Zeitung's page 3, UPM files an urgent appeal with the High Court. As the paper reports, the president of the UPM, John Johannes van Beek, and claims that his and his colleagues' resignation as members of the National Assembly was unconstitutional. A memorandum of understanding between the two parties from 2019 is to remain in place, and the two members are to be sworn in again. We continue with more newspaper review after the break. On the Namibian's front page, the Namibia Statistics Agency statistician General Alex Shumwafeni says Namibia's population of 3 million mainly comprises of 2.1 million young people, as experts predict continued youth unemployment, poverty, and inequality. On to the page 3 of the Namibian, Botswana President Mokgweetsi Masisi says he and the late President Hage Geingob had plans to ultimately eliminate the border between the two countries. Masisi revealed this at the memorial service for Geingob hosted by the Botswana government in Gaborone yesterday. President Nangolo Mbumba and other government officials attended the event. Moving over to the New Era's front page, Botswana continued its solidarity and offering solace after the death of President Hage Geingob by hosting a memorial service yesterday in the country's capital, Gaborone, stating that Namibia's loss is an equal loss to the Botswana. President Nangolo Mbumba said following Geingob's passing on the 4th of February, Botswana's President Mokgweetsi Masisi was the first head of state and government to travel to Namibia within 48 hours to comfort Namibians, specifically the widow Monica Geingos, the children, and the entire bereaved family. He noted that these consolidations demonstrate the solid bond of friendship which exists between the two nations and are a testament of the special friendship that was forged. Over to the New Era's page 3, the Namibian police in the Commerce region are investigating a case of armed robbery after suspects stole almost 800,000 Namibian dollars from the Monte Cristo service station in Windhoek on Tuesday. According to police spokesperson Chief Inspector Eliphas Kuwinga, 3 suspects entered the service station and pointed a firearm at the cashiers before proceeding to the manager's office and grabbing 3 cash boxes. Over to Market Watch, the Orange Basin extending South Africa and Namibia has emerged a highly lucrative offshore play owing to a string of high-profile oil and gas discoveries made by global energy majors and independents in recent years. Following exploratory success on the Namibian side of the basin between 2022 and 2024, players are turning to the Southern African waters. After the break, we get into our economic news.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
In our economic news today, are the sectors considered to be driving Namibia's economy the biggest contributors to the country's tax revenue? Namibia Revenue Agency Head of Domestic Taxes, Idi Itope, delved into this topic during a budget discussion hosted by Standard Bank yesterday. Let's take a look.
About various sectors of the economy. First thing, see your tax policy, your strong tax policy fortifies the tax administration. Now, in this budget speech, we've just learned that there will be an amendment in terms of assessed losses. Now, you could have industries that are doing extremely well, but because they were ramping up their operations, they incurred losses and they continue to carry forward those losses. Their revenue does not then translate into tax revenue. So that's one possibility. But of course, when you talk about industries, you don't hide behind confidentiality. Why? Because you're talking about a sector in general. You have sectors that are well organized. The Mining Chamber of Commerce, for instance, when it comes to data, it's so data-driven that you get almost to know which mining entity is trading, which one is not trading, where are they, and so forth. So it's not that straightforward in terms of looking at the contribution by various sectors in terms of either job creation or investment in capital or other variables, and deduce from there that from this industry, you're going to derive sufficient or more taxes as per that performance. But we have also in the past spoken out against sectors that we believe were not contributing sufficiently or were not contributing in accordance to what they've earned. And that is not confidential, and we do not hide behind the clause for that purpose.
Let's take a look at our economic indicators. The Namibia Stock Exchange, Namibian breweries went up at 0.03%, and Leshoho Holdings also went up at 2.50%, while FreshRand Namibia Limited went down at 0.50%. Overall index went down at 0.05%, while the local index went up at 0.12%. On the commodities market, gold, copper, and platinum went down, while Brent crude oil went up at 0.91%, going for $85.08 per barrel. The Namibian dollar trades against the British pound at 23.80, against the euro at 20.35, against the US dollar at 18.60. $2 Namibian and 59 cents gets you 1 Chinese yuan. Let's take a look at our news from Africa. Police in Zimbabwe say they have arrested the suspected leader of a religious cult in a village in northern Moshonaland, West Province, and rescued dozens of women and children. Ishmael Chokorongwerwa, age 56, who leads the Gore Jena Penny Yerenyika sect, was arrested alongside 7 other senior members of the cult on Tuesday. Police spokesperson Paul Nyati said in a statement. Police said most of the 251 children found in Chokorongwera's farm in Nyambiri, about 34 kilometers northwest of the capital, Harare, had no birth certificates and were not allowed to attend school. Police also discovered a gravesite at the farm where 16 people have been secretly interred, including 7 infants whose burials were not registered with authorities. The rescued children were being used to perform various physical activities for the benefit of the sect's leadership, the police statement said. Police also established that all children were subjected to abuse such as cheap labor, doing manual work in the name of being taught life skills, it added. Moving on to our next story, South Africa's Foreign Minister Naledi Pandor has said that its citizens who have been fighting in Gaza whether Israeli Defense Forces will be arrested on their return to the country, the AP news agency reports. I have already issued a statement alerting those who are South African and are fighting. We are ready. When you come home, we are going to arrest you, she is quoted as telling a Palestinian solidarity event earlier this week. It is not clear how many people this could affect. South Africa had already warned last year that its citizens that may be liable to prosecution if they fought with the IDF. The Haaretz newspaper on Wednesday quoted a military statement saying that the IDF is working to provide a response to possible security and legal risk when soldiers travel abroad. The IDF is monitoring the issue on an ongoing basis in coordination and cooperation with the relevant government ministries. South Africa has been at the forefront of the diplomatic opposition to Israel's war in Gaza, which was sparked by the killing of more than 1,200 people and kidnapping of more than 200 others in October. It launched a case at the International Court of Justice to consider whether Israel is committing a genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. After the break, we get into our sports news. Now, the official draw of the Total Energies CAF Futsal AFCON Morocco 2024 was officially conducted at the Mohammed VI complex in Rabat, where 8 nations were drawn into the 2 groups of 4 to contest the 7th edition of the competition. The tournament is set to be held at Moulay Prince Abdallah and EBN Yassin halls in Rabat between the 11th and the 21st of April 2024. Namibia, who will be making its debut at the competition, was drawn in Group B with Egypt, who fell just short in the 2020 final, and the 2008 champions Libya and Mauritania, who is also making its debut at the continental finals. Brave Fives head coach Donald Modizi is excited and trusts his team to do well at the tournament. Getting into our next story, inspired by André Krugel Krief's silver in the women's criterion 2 days ago, the Namibian road cycling team will be back in action at the African Games in Accra, Ghana for the next 3 days against tough opposition from teams such as South Africa and the rest of the continent. The Namibians will take on the women's team time trial today, depending on Krief's Jean-Marie Mostert, Olivia Shilifa and Monique Duplessis in striving to add to the country's medal tally. The women's event, which is 3 laps of 14.9 kilometers course totaling a distance of 44.7 kilometers, will be followed by the men's team trial, 4 laps, 59 kilometers, where Denzel Decour, Adrian Key, Kevin Lau and Martin Freyer will be the Namibian contestants. The individual time trials are held on Friday and the mixed relay time trial on Saturday. Moving on to our next story, Brave Warriors international Asprosius Petrus returns to play his club football on the African continent after joining South African Premiership side Cape Town City FC from Kosovo. The defender previously spent time in Europe playing his trade for Liria Prizren since 2022, where he played alongside fellow Namibian midfielder Prince Shiweda. The Cape Town side announced on Tuesday that the player has penned a deal with them in order to fill a void in their defensive arsenal. After the break, we get into our international sports. Due to time constraints, we are unable to get into our international sports. Let's take a look at the highlights from today's broadcast. Police in Zimbabwe say they have arrested the suspected leader of a religious cult and rescued dozens of women and children. President Vladimir Putin told the West on Wednesday that Russia was technically ready for nuclear war and that if the US sent troops to Ukraine, it will be considered a significant escalation of the conflict. Namibia will be making its debut at the Total Energies CAF Futsal AFCON Morocco 2024 competition in Group B with 2008 champions Libya, Egypt and Mauritania. NMH at 1 streams live every weekday at 1 p.m. sharing the latest news in Namibia and beyond. Before we head out, remember to catch the State of the Nation address right here on NTV at 2:30 p.m.